Saunders, and I'm pleased to have on Pat Holden with me from CCSU, which is the Central Connecticut State University, the Blue Devils. He's the assistant coach and also is the part of the hitting as well for softball. Coach, I appreciate you coming on.
No, thanks for having me. I appreciate it.
Coach, it's awesome to be able to have obviously softball players, baseball coaches, softball coaches, you name it, because the game is so unique in a lot of ways. And I know for you specifically, you have the experience of coaching softball, obviously, and then you play baseball. So do you feel like in some ways, coach, you can kind of mirror those two and combine them to a certain degree, the way you go about your coaching?
100%. And I think that there's been this kind of dialogue with regard to, especially with regard to hitting, a baseball swing versus a softball swing, and at the end of the day, it's physics, and you're trying to hit things as hard as you possibly can, right? So I'm a big believer that there's not much difference. So when folks ask me, is it hard, kind of quote unquote switching over from the baseball side to the softball side? No, it's not. It's still the same. It's still the same physics. It's still the same science. It's still the same objective. So, I really look forward to teaching hitting to young and old alike in the softball game, and that's what I'm going to keep doing. And I really would only say that the only difference between coaching baseball and softball is really just the way in which you communicate. So, um, I'm still working on that, and I think I'll always continue to work on that. But at the end of the day, I think that what we're doing offensively kind of speaks for itself, and the folks on our team, the ladies on our team, are really intrigued by kind of being the best hitter they can be.
Coach, it's for people who don't kind of either played or maybe watched the game of baseball, for example, and I'm sure you could share this because I played for many years. When a pitcher throws, let's say a fastball, a two-seamer, if we told them, hey, no, it has that rising action, it has that late life up in the zone, people think you're crazy because they're like, how can a fastball, how can a ball rise? Well, it does for various reasons. Softball, now that has natural rise because obviously going from the underhand motion, that's why there's a thing called a rise ball, for example. Now, the reason why I bring that up is with the hitting that now is being taught for probably the last 10 or plus years now, going for the downs, the launch angle movement, is that something that's kind of been a part of your teaching with Central?
100%, 100%. And it's interesting that you brought up the rise ball. For the baseball folks out there kind of watching this for the first time, maybe, it's no different than a 12-6 curveball. It's just the opposite, right? Have I ever hit a rise ball? No. And thankfully I never had to. So, but yes, we're still trying to elevate the ball. I'm a big believer in maybe not necessarily getting down and dirty into the launch angle and all of that data, although I understand it, it's not necessarily kind of my foundation of teachings, but yes, I definitely am looking to hit the ball in the air. I want to teach kids to hit the ball in the air. Um, and if I may, it actually makes sense because at the end of the day, the field can't hold our athletes anymore. The fences are short enough where I think we could take advantage of them. And just coming off the Little League World Series, I think if you took any collegiate or high school baseball player, I think they'd love to play home run derby at Lamade Stadium, in Williamsport. I think they'd like to try and hit one on the hill because the fences are shorter than what they're used to. Well, it's kind of the same thing in the softball game right now, where our athletes are way bigger, stronger, faster than they were, 30 or 40 years ago. Meanwhile, the fences haven't gone anywhere. So we're trying to utilize that to our advantage and help our athletes understand that if we get big enough, strong enough, fast enough, and we kind of buy into these not only mechanics but mindsets about hitting the ball in the air, I think we're going to be, and we have been, very successful hitting the ball out of the yard.
I want to continue what you just said about how the games have evolved, players have evolved, because obviously as years go on, technology, nutrition, the whole nine. The game of softball, while I believe is starting to hopefully grow more than it has, because I feel like in some ways it doesn't get the attention it deserves, even from big media outlets, right? But when you look, I watched a whole lot of softball the last couple of years. Not only have I noticed the pitching side with the consistency and the different pitches and the velocity, and obviously the way that they can go deep into games and pitch multiple days in a row because of that's a natural motion. But the overall game itself, to me, I've seen a change from, let's say, 15 years ago to now. The athletes are just completely different.
Yeah, I mean, absolutely. And I think you touched on it where you have advances in technology, you have advances in the weight room, nutrition. There's just so many more resources available to athletes of in all sports, but certainly, I think softball athletes are certainly taking great advantage of what's out there. And I think that the advances in nutrition in the weight room, and then obviously on the data side of things, that really is driving hitters and pitchers in softball to essentially put a better product out on the field. And by better product, what I mean is, more explosive pitches, more extra base hits, more strength and speed to the game. And it's kind of evolved from, kind of that quote unquote small ball, who's going to score a run or two to win type of ball game, to now it can be a slugfest, which is entertaining, I think, for everybody. So yeah, I do think the game has evolved, and I think it will continue to keep growing viewership. As long as ESPN keeps following it, and all the various networks, I think it will keep growing.
I was talking to a coach in the NVL because I broadcast in the NVL, and she told me that, this was 2 years ago. She was telling me how her team were all, for except for maybe one or two, were strictly power hitters. They were big young women, but they were strong, right? And again, coach tells me that. I'm like, okay, okay. I mean, she's not a very tall person herself, so maybe she's just looking up a lot. But then when I was on the field, coach, I never felt like I was the smallest person on the field, but I was. I'm like 5'11". They were well built, they were strong, they were athletic. And the reason why I bring that up to you is over the course of your years that you've been at Central and been a part of the program and such, have you noticed the way, or maybe did you notice this before, as far as the young softball players, not saying they were all like string beans 15 years ago. I'm not trying to say that. But what I'm trying to say is that you mentioned the technology part, the strength part. I mean, they're just built different. I mean, look at Oklahoma. They've got mashers. There was a young lady, what was it, a couple years ago? Every hit was like a home run. She was so strong.
Yeah, Jocelyn Allo was probably one of the best hitters for our game, and you're absolutely right. She was that strong, and she was that good of a hitter. Yeah, I think that information is power, right? We've heard that for decades now. And I guess what I mean by that is there's so much more information about, how to lift and how to make yourself more athletic, and how to eat properly and how to fuel your engine. And then on top of it, there's more information with regard to whatever mechanic out there that you want to spend your time with, and whether it's hitting, pitching, fielding, outfield work, catching. There's so much knowledge out there, and so much at your fingertips with technology and social media, that yeah, the softball players nowadays are built different because there is that much available to them.
How hard is it coach? Because obviously players want to be coached. They want to be, they want as much information, except for maybe some only want a little bit, or some don't want any, because if they think too much, like myself, you start, what, and you start overthinking like crazy. But the point that I'm trying to make is, coach, is that the amount of information, the old saying is a little is good, too much is not good. Like ice cream, right? You have a little bit of ice cream, that's great. Too much ice cream becomes a problem, and other things become involved. So how hard is it for you, coach, to kind of know that boundary of knowing when to give enough information, but when also to lay back a little bit?
Yeah, I mean, that's a tremendous question, because at the end of the day, I think the coach is going to be as good as he or she is as long as they know the players, because you have 20, 25, 28 players on your roster. You need to know, I think, as a coach, which ones which ones need more information and which ones don't. And sometimes what they're telling you, they may say, coach, I need to know X, Y, and Z, but deep down, sometimes I know, no, you don't. I sometimes I know you better as an athlete than you do. And that's part of the trick, I guess, of being a coach, is to know your athletes and get to know them to the point where you understand how much or how little information you need. So, I
Yeah.
mean, I hate to give an answer like it depends, it goes athlete to athlete, but it really does. I mean, there are 28 individual athletes, on our roster that, it's kind of my job to figure out how much they need and how much they don't need, and hopefully they just trust my judgment.
Over the course of the years, obviously your how to work counts, your mentality, your approaches at the plate for the young women that are playing in the softball program, it's there. They know what to expect. Obviously, when you go out and recruit hitters, you're looking for the types that you've been looking for many, many years since you've been with the program. But has there ever been a point during these 7+ years where maybe you tried to not stray away from your approach? Because I know obviously you believe it, and that's fantastic. But have you ever thought about maybe straying away a little bit just to see maybe what else is out there as far as a different kind of player?
I think that I think that it's very good for a coach to always question kind of what they're doing or why they're doing it, and if they really want to continue down that path. And I have that kind of inner struggle
Mm.
a few times a year, and it's tough because you don't want to have it, but in order to grow, I think you have to ask yourself the question, why do I believe this? Why am I teaching this method? Why do I have this conviction
Mm.
about our offense and the way we're going to go about things? And so although I've had that kind of inner dialogue with myself,
Mm.
um, I, I am very confident that this way seems to work for our athletes. It seems to work for the type of players that we're recruiting, and overall, it has been successful for us offensively. So, by no stretch of the imagination is this the holy grail of offense, but it seems to work for us in New Britain. And the only thing I could do is make a couple tweaks here and there to only make us better. But I don't think that we need to totally flip the script on it. No.
So is there any chance that maybe you could fix the Yankees because they all can't hit? They're all terrible.
I had that discussion with a father of a recruit a couple weeks ago, and he said, "Pat, I don't think your method of hitting is going to work. Look at the Yankees; they have the same type of struggle, and they're trying to do the same thing." And I said, "Sir, with all due respect, that's a problem in New York. We don't have that problem in New Britain. So I don't think I can fix the Yankees. I'm going to keep doing what I'm doing in New Britain."
So when you said that back to him, was he like, okay? Like, what was his
Well,
response to that?
like I said, I have my convictions, and there are a couple things that I can,
Mhm.
I can go 50-50 on, but my hitting approach is not one of them.
Coach, it's awesome to be able to talk with you about yourself and obviously the program. I didn't even mention that you were a fantastic high school player, hitting well over 600, 401 strikeouts on the mound as well. Fantastic two-way. Did you ever consider I mean, again, now when you look at it because of what Otani's doing, I know he's hurt with the UCL, but the point is though, we have seen over the last 5 years or so. I mean, I don't know how much of the college game on the baseball side that you follow, but Reggie Crawford is still doing his two-way thing with the Giants. You had McKay, who was with Louisville and then now with the Rays. There's other players as well. We're starting to see that trend in the major league side. Did you ever kind of consider yourself what you were doing at the high school level, not just unique, but something that maybe could have been something down the road if it kind of fell in your favor?
I got to tell you, it's shout out to the NBL, by the way. Former St. Paul baseball coach over here. We had some two-way players at St. Paul. Shout out to Kyle Doobie. But yeah, I mean, I was a two-way player in high school, and I think it's a different animal, right? When you get to the collegiate ranks, and quite frankly, I don't care if it's D3, D2, D1, NAIA, JUCO, whatever. It's a different animal, and now you're among the best of the best. And you know, while I was able to have a good career in high school, um, I could not translate it to the college game. I was given a shot to throw a couple of innings. That was shot down real quick by Coach Charlie Hickey. He said, your future is probably at shortstop and hitting the ball, maybe not throwing it. So, after a quick couple innings in the fall, that was shut down. I mean, I think it's great to experience in high school where you might have a talented kid that absolutely can go two ways and hit and play defense and pitch as well. And I think it's tremendous anybody who could do it in college and certainly at the pro ranks. I mean, what Otani's doing is absolutely remarkable. And I mean, I think we'd all be blessed to see, two or five or 10 more of those players every season. I don't know if we ever will, but I'm rooting for it.
I will admit to you, and real quick, I did not know that you coached at St. Paul.
I did. I coached at St. Paul in Bristol for about 9 or 10 years, just before I came over to CCSU. So again, shout out to the Falcons.
Hey, Falcons, Vic Rinaldi's doing a great job with them. He was my former Legion coach back in the day with Oakville. And the stories I have as far as what he taught me and obviously the team when we were, I don't know if you're familiar with, but like Nanawag, because Oakville at the time, we were combined with Pomperog, Nanawag. It was Oakville, which is Watertown
Yep.
High School.
Yep.
We all
Yep.
combined. It was a great team. We had some of the Holy Cross guys that were really good. Aaron McCullough, Augelli was very good as well. But beyond the fact of that, the point is I'm trying to get to you, coach, is that to kind of be a part of the NVL, right? And what you saw there, and then being in the community, did that kind of help when you made that transition from that, and then when you went on to coach at Central?
For sure. I mean, one thing that I think that St. Paul Catholic and Central Connecticut State University has in common, probably many, but the biggest thing is that sense of blue collar family ethic, right? Um, you know, both schools do not necessarily have all the bells and the whistles and resources, and we just kind of make things work. We know who we are, and we're willing to get our nose dirty, and that's part of who we were at St. Paul baseball when I was there, and it's certainly part of Central Connecticut State University athletics too, where we're willing to get our hands dirty and kind of get to work.
What kind of team, now switching gears to the softball side for the team that you coach for now, what kind of team, again, I know it's early, they're just coming back to school, and obviously things, meetings and such are going to be underway very soon. What kind of, just from the vision of the fall, we'll stay with the fall. What do you envision the fall looking like for this team so far?
I think the goal here is, two words: puzzle pieces, right? Our job, I think, as coaches is to build the most magnificent puzzle that you possibly could build over the course of a season. And, you know, the players, the student athletes are sort of the quote unquote puzzle pieces, but they could be their shape can change. They could fill different voids. They can fill different gaps. So they're almost like liquid puzzle pieces. So what's really interesting is to see all the different traits that these student athletes have. So I feel like our goal for the fall is to see how many different positives and different traits each student athlete can bring to the softball field, on the defensive side, on the offensive side, in the circle, and just kind of see how liquid they can be to kind of build that puzzle.
And for you, without revealing too much, have you kind of changed a little bit going into this season with stuff you learned from last year about what worked and what didn't work? Not saying you have to change your approach as far as the coaching aspect, because I know what you said. You believe in it, and that's fantastic. But have you maybe kind of altered just a little bit to try to maybe enhance it to a different level, if that makes sense?
Yeah, I mean, I think as a coach, if you're not learning, if you're not figuring out how to get your squad better, figuring out what you can do as a coach to be better, then you're going to get left behind. So I think it's really, really good to kind of self-reflect, not only for you as a coach, but also for the program as well. You have to do that self-reflecting as well.
Mm.
And so, yes, a million percent. We have kind of really taken a deep dive into the type of student athletes we have and what makes them or how to put them in the best position to be successful. And what we found, and this works for us, is we want to be able to put together a phenomenal experience for our student athletes. And what I mean by that is we want them to have fun. We want them to have a good experience. I mean, we're gonna get our hands dirty and we're gonna get to work, but we want them to have a good experience. We want them to have fun because what we have seen over the last year or two is when they're having a good experience, when they're having fun, when they're, lighthearted a little bit at practice, the
Mhm.
production goes through the roof. And, we're not forcing it out of them. It's just like a switch is turned on by them and they're like, okay, it's go time, it's work time. And it's because I think we let that leash out with them
Mhm.
with regard to having fun and providing a good experience, that they're willing to turn it around and get to work when they're on the field. So that's what we did. We really, I don't want to say experimented with it last year, but we really let it kind of organically play out last year, and it proved great dividends for us. So we're going to try it even more this year. So it'll be fun. And believe me, as a coach, 10 years ago, would I have bought into that? No, I don't think so. But I've definitely learned over the last couple of years or so that that is how to get the most out of our current day student athletes. And you know what? It's a lot of fun going to the ball field when it's that way.
Coach, best of luck in the fall. And you know what? I'd love to have you back on sometime before the season because this was a lot of fun.
I appreciate it. Thank you so much for the time.
Always. I'll wrap things up here in the CT Sports Talent Show. So until next time, stay safe. Remember, CT stands for Connecticut Talent. I'm Drew. Find them all. Drew, this should everybody, and be well.